Okay, welcome back to the devlog number 4. This time I'll just have a little bit of audio so you can hear. Since last time I have actually made a map for the scene, so it goes through all the different types of resource types instead of just having wood in the center, and it was just the 4 points around the center. Now it has all of them, and each one now has a wood source behind them, and the wood source that they have to fight over. And to get into the middle, they have to fight over this to move their units to capture the inside. So it's kind of a little bit of war. Super basic map design, just so I can do a little bit more testing of different units versus different buildings. And then I have messed around with the player camera. I had some top downs and some from the side angles, but I also just recently added turning, and I thought it would be good if the player almost was just like a third person view that you can scroll really far out to see majority of the map and then zoom far in so it looks not necessarily first person, but the direction that your character is looking, so you can see in that direction. Um, so I feel like that adds just a lot more depth to this game because when it's top down and you're looking straight down at a building like this, it's pretty bland. Plus, you could see the actual lasers between the armies. So I'm going to just do a little bit of gameplay and show different resource takeovers and the new buildings. So I also added walls and a different barracks, and all these barracks are super easy to make. I have a couple different. I have like sniper and brutes, super basic to just add them and then create a barrack for them. Need to figure out the costs and balancing eventually and more unit types, but for now I have very basic. So the barracks for the peasants, they cost 50 stone, so you gotta need to start consuming and producing stone. There's also metal and ruby. At the moment, I think just owning the control points is enough, but I might modify this later, possibly to make the control points that you take longer to grab, or um, you might need to put down a specific building on it to actually start earning the resources, or maybe it earns basic resources and then it increases resource production for that specific spot if you build the building for it, but maybe it's a big building so you won't be able to build very much else on the spot. The idea with the building system as well, I think, is that you could only build on a owned control point. So maybe it'd be better if you found other control points that were larger in size so that you can build more. So maybe these spots have resources, you're unable to build big buildings if they don't fit or if they're interacting with other stuff. So if we just like, for instance, put some walls here and I accidentally click the arrow, then technically as long as they're not interacting, um, should be fine. And maybe I want to put a turret, and maybe I want to start generating units over here, but actually I'll just put another unit because why not another turret when two source? Yeah, there we go. And then we'll switch our player over to player 4 just to kind of see a different perspective. So you see, oh, red team's already taking control of the stone mine. So how are we gonna fix ourselves about that? Well, yellow's been building up an army while we've been sitting this whole time. They haven't been splitting their army on a whole bunch of different control points. So don't know if this is beneficial early game. I have absolutely no clue the strategies. This game's been alive for 3 days now, so I don't even know what I'm trying to make for strategies, but we'll see how this works. A whole bunch of walls. All these really weak scouts need to destroy the walls before they can even attack the towers. Yeah, it's got it locked down. So what Yellow needs to do is get a ton of wood and make their own walls, and then start making a ton of scout barracks in order to breach that. Although red now has stone, so if we go back over to Team ID 1 and see the change, that there's a lot more stone. The wood is almost at 150, and it's at 150. So if I were red, for instance, and I wanted to place down this barracks, and now it's going to be generating much stronger units. So yellow's going to have a hard times. Maybe early game it is a good idea to rush different spots depending on the map. Each map might be different on its play style. That is, at least from what I can remember, all the updates since the last video. I'm going to continue adding different building types, maybe add some more information because now there's a description for each one of these, but the barracks doesn't say like the units stats. So I'm going to need to update that kind of thing. I also were thinking about putting a map in the top right just as a basic to see who owns what and what units are on on the map to see which control points have units, which control points have buildings, just from a very basic look. Just a very simple map. Then I think the other thing I was going to work on was an issue that if two of the exact same type of units were fighting, say for instance yellow came to attack this red spot and there was units on it, if it was 5 on 5 the exact same units, usually the defending units have the disadvantage just because of their AI, but maybe it's a good thing due to the building system. It's like another flush out to see if it's overpowered or not kind of thing. Um, Also same with resource generation because now I have so much so I can just build a ton of random stuff. And I need to actually make some sort of um, like kingdom almost where the player can respawn and maybe even make it so that the player can actually interact with units. Thinking about making it so that if the player gets killed, that they just respawn back at their kingdom, so it might slow down the ability to control your units, for instance. So if green was deciding, oh, they want to do an army push, and you have units somewhere that's next to it, but it would interact with it, then you would just kill, for instance, the red guy, send your units as green, and red is respawning for 5 seconds so that they can't move. Also, I don't have it so that units get stuck on buildings because that would be lame. The only reason yellow stopped is because they have to attack it. So they could technically go inside of it, but it's still considered a wall in my opinion. Now red is going to come over here with the peasant units. They're much stronger. And they're stuck on a tree. Kind of wiggle them around. Oh, they're going to come single file line. That is the weakest way to do it. And see if we can kill or damage. The scouts look like they are destroying. Scouts are much weaker, but somehow took over. Maybe it's because it's strength in numbers, not strength in strength. Anyways, that is all for now. I will be back eventually. Thank you, and Devlog 4 over. Goodbye.